Good morning everyone and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. It's once again the Monday morning over here in the Netherlands, and today we're starting off the week with a best of 5 series of Protoss versus Zerg. Now, I know a lot of you are not necessarily the biggest fans of Mondays. I've seen a couple people complain about it in the comment section down below. It's like, Loko, why did you have to point out again that it's Monday today? I don't like it. Personally, I've never really, I play video games for a living, so I guess I shouldn't really complain all too much in the first place. But personally, I've never really minded Mondays all too much. Either way, today it's time for a top-level series of Protoss versus Zerg. We're in game number 1. Interestingly enough, we are actually on Blackburn, which is not usually a map number 1 kind of map. Our Protoss player, already blocking that hatchery from going up in the first place. Playing with the red Protoss probes from South Korea, we have none other than Zoun. Zoun, of course, one of the very best Protoss players in the world. When it comes to current, highest ranked Protoss on the planet, I think we can all agree that Trap is at the tippity-top, just because Trap has won a ton of events this year. Below that would probably be Zest, and I would say below that we have guys like, for example, Zoun and Party. Zoun is really good, one of the best, and yeah, one of the players I actually don't cast nearly as often as I probably should. That being said, there's in general not that many replays of him floating around the internet, so it is what it is. He did do very well in the GSL Super Tournament twice this year. He actually managed to get it to second place 2 times, where he both times actually also ended up losing against Trap, which kind of sucks for him. When it comes, though, to his overall earnings, he is very far away from his opponent. So Zoun has earned roughly $47,000 in tournament earnings in StarCraft 2, which is obviously not bad at all, but there's no denying that it's a little bit less than his opponent. Playing with the blue Zerg drones, likewise also from South Korea, we have one of the most successful StarCraft 2 professionals of all time. We have none other than Rogue. Alrighty, now, when it comes to Rogue's earnings, he is currently sitting at right about $945,000 US when it comes to tournament earnings alone. Obviously, that doesn't include salary and, you know, team sponsorships and advertising and all that, right? So, let's just say that Rogue, he's probably doing, you know, pretty well for himself. Obviously, a previous world champion of StarCraft 2 as well. He's won multiple GSL Code S's, and he's actually very good as well in Zerg versus Protoss. For a while, he was considered to be the best late-game player in the world, and, I mean, we can still definitely say that he's one of the very best late-game players on the planet, although, in general, he doesn't really seem to play... Like, he's always played the most abusive style that he can come up with. So, for example, even though he was, for a while, considered to be the best late-game player on the planet, he was doing a ton of Nidus Worm openers. And the reason was that he could, you know, he could just simply win the game before the late game ever happened, so Rogue kind of just did that. He always seems to, like, play whatever style he thinks is currently the best, and, yeah, wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be doing that in this particular series as well. Now, interestingly enough, would you look at that? Zoun has decided to go for a Robo Facility opener. What? This is insane. So, 99 out of 100 times in a macro game of Protoss versus Zerg recently, Protosses open up with a Stargate, and there's a very good reason for it. It's just simply the best overall build that you can go for. So, for example, with a Stargate, I mean, not only do you not really need to deal damage, but you can also grab yourself a Nexus at about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. So you send the Void Ray in, you kill this Overlord, and then you help the probe take the 3rd base. And while Zerg obviously can make a ton of Zerglings against that, when there's like 2 Adepts and like a, you know, say a Pylon over here and Nexus, and then you know, put the what are they called, the Adepts right in between, it's very difficult for the Zerg to actually be able to harass that. So, interestingly enough, we don't just have a Robo Facility opener, but we're rushing out a Robotics Bay. Pretty much has to be... Oh, he's even gonna go for the Warp Prism speed upgrade. There you go. Yeah, it has to be a Disruptor opener. So this is actually really cool. I think there's a couple of builds that can be really good. Stargate, though, is just simply the best. It's kind of how it is. I think the Dark Templar into Archon drops version is also pretty powerful. The thing is, right, already we're at 4 minutes and 20 seconds, and obviously Zoun can start dealing some damage, but at this point Rogue knows that it's a Robo opener, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's just going to be able to, you know, protect his mineral lines reasonably well. Rogue, obviously, even though he may not have as much practice against this, he should still be very good against these sort of starts. He's even going to get a scout in right now. Maybe he's not going to see the... no, I think he might even see the Disruptor right here. Wouldn't be surprised. At this point, he sees the Prism waiting. He knows that it has to be a Disruptor opener. Now, Gravitic Drive Rotor has finished up. This is the speed upgrade for the Prism. So it's real quick. It's going to be able to get across the map very nicely. 2 Adepts are trying to shade in as well. Zerg, though, up to this point is just simply happily droning up. He does have some units. He did make a Sport Crawler or 2 as well, if I'm not mistaken. So he's going to try and position those in reasonably good spots. With good splits. Yep. And, I mean, so... We're now at 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Nexus just goes up. This is a full minute later, like more than a minute later, than with a Stargate opener. And, I mean, obviously these disruptors are still going to be useful going forward as well. But you kind of see why, in general, Stargate openers are just simply preferred, right? Because not only do you not have the pressure of dealing damage, Zoun kind of needs to get something done here. He also, yeah, is just so much later when it comes to follow-up economy. Now, obviously, the Disruptors can still be really helpful in, like, follow-up timings, though. So, he is gonna go for a Colossus already. He's got a lot of additional gateways finishing up. So, we're currently already at 4 gateways. He's gonna go up to 8. So, is this Nexus fake? Oh, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's some sort of elaborate 2-base all-in, which I think is what it is. Yeah. Pretty sure. So, Rogue right here scouts. He sees, okay, the 3rd Nexus just about to finish up. He queues up a bunch more drones. This can actually definitely catch the Zerg player off guard. He's loading up a slow Overlord right outside of the slowing circle with 8 Zerglings as well. So I feel like this is gonna not go particularly well. Okay, so now he sees the Colossus too. A couple additional probes do start up. It's a little bit awkward. Yeah, so 0 workers have been killed here. Now Rogue is happily sitting at... Whoa, my god, he's gonna queue up 9 more drones? Yeah. I think it's time to make units, my man. Great splits. Queens obviously can withstand one of those hits. Yeah, he really needs to start making some army. So we're 70 drones versus 48 probes. Every minute that goes by right now, Rogue is going to be able to make a massive army. So assuming he stays alive for another minute or 2, he should be a-okay, but I feel like those 9 workers he just made were a little bit much. Can Zoun punish it, though? I'm not so sure, man. Like, this is so many Ravagers? There's no Immortals in this army either, so that Colossus is kind of wasted. Unless he gets, like, a really good set of Force Fields or some good Disruptor hits. Okay, well, that Disruptor just gets sniped. If the Purification Nova is triggered and the Disruptor is killed in the meantime, yeah. It's cancelled. Okay, well, there is actually an Immortal. Was there already an Immortal earlier? Maybe I just didn't see it. There's 2 Immortals now, right there, right now. 17 more Roaches are just about to spawn, though. Rogue doing a great job right here, spending his money. Trying to just keep this army at bay with corrosive biles. And this is now becoming a little bit desperate, right? So he starts up 3 more probes, Zoun that is, but I think you need to get more done. At this point, basically what Rogue is going to do is stack up towards a hive. He'll probably get himself some Vipers going, right? And Vipers, obviously, with abductions can get rid of a Prism, but also the Disruptors and the Colossi and everything. And he's going to just max some Roaches and Ravagers. Disruptor there up the south. Ooh, it's being targeted. Maybe a bit of an overextension right here, though, from... Ooh, he actually gets the Prism. From the Zerg player. He does land 3 corrosive biles right there on that Warp Prism, so at least there's no more reinforcements here for a little bit. New Prism starts up right away. That was a very expensive Prism to snipe, though. Once again, Disruptor comes up. Very nice snipe. Or a very nice split, rather. Colossus also goes down. Once the Colossus is gone, though, you can definitely start reinforcing this with some Zerglings, too. Drones were pulled away there from the mineral lines. Disruptor goes down. I mean, this is a messy game. I don't think it should have been... I mean, this should still be a significant Rogue advantage, but I don't think it should have been that close. Yeah, you know what? Stalkers are pretty good. What are your upgrades at? +1 missile right now for the Zerg. No upgrades at all for Zoun other than, you know, the structure upgrades. That's Slow Overlord. Is that what we can call it? A Slow Overlord? A Slow Overlord? I'm not sure. A Slover Dropper Lord. There you go. It's still just hanging out here. One Stalker apparently is also just staring it down. Either way, Hive is done. I would love to see a Viper or 2 added into the mix. Zoun in the meantime is mostly just, like, he's mostly just transferring probes towards the 3rd. He does have 51 workers right now, so he added on a couple more, but I really would not mind. I think the Slow Overlord could kill it, man. Yeah, I would really not mind seeing a, there you go, a couple of Vipers. So Vipers are really good at abducting Disruptors, but also Prisms and everything else. So if you abduct a Disruptor while it's, ooh, using the Purification Nova ability, it's also cancelled. Okay. Once again, he's pushing very deep off of creep. No Twilight Council to be seen anywhere, so no blink, no charge, no nothing. Just low-tech army going up against low-tech army with a couple of high-tech units sprinkled in. There's the Vipers. Yeah, and this is where that supply count becomes a little bit more obvious. He doesn't need to fight this deep off creep, man. Like, he really doesn't need to fight off creep at all. But I guess it is what it is. Okay. Couple of slowing circles, of course, here on Blackburn. Prism trying to get some work done over there with 2 disruptors into it, but... Okay, Zerglings will chase it down as well, so Rogue is familiar with the position right there of the Prism. Probably trying to go for a flank, but... There's no way. Okay, if you pick it up, apparently the abduction is cancelled too. That's something I didn't know. So actually, a lot of the energy was wasted there. That's kind of cool. Either way, it doesn't matter. There's way too much Zerg. And at that point, Zoun is forced to tap out. So wait, let me get this straight. If you drop off the Disruptor out of the Prism, you activate the Purification Nova, then you wait for the Viper to abduct it, and then you pick it back up by the Prism. You can still put it back into the War Prism, but the Viper energy is gone? That is not something that really comes up very often, but that's actually kind of a cool little counterplay. I mean, Rogue only had 2 Vipers there. Definitely could have forced the Zerg to run out of energy there. Either way, that was a bit of a funky start. I mean, it's a perfect example as to why people open up Stargate almost every single game. It's just simply better. I've been saying this for a long time. It is a little bit sad, because, like, you know, Twilight Council openers and Robo openers can be a lot of fun. Dark Templar starts and all of that. It's great, but ever since Blizzard triple buffed the Void Ray in August 2020, so we're actually coming up on the 1-year anniversary of that patch. Yeah, they decided to triple buff the Void Ray, and over the course of the last year, it's just become very apparent that a Void Ray start is just simply better, or a Stargate opener in general. Once again, because you can take that third base like a full minute earlier than with a Robo and a Twilight opener, plus you don't need to deal, damage. When you open up with a... I guess the idea was that Zoun was trying to trick his opponent into, like, you know, droning up 3 bases, and then he would go for essentially a 2-base all-in with triple Nexus. And Rogue droned up 3 bases, and he was caught off guard, and then he still defended it just fine. So, maybe that's because of Rogue being Rogue, though, because Rogue is real screwed. Real good. Anyways. Here we go. Game number 2, we are on the Romanticite. Zerg gonna go for the hatch into the gas geyser and spawning pool. The normal timing on these are 16 supply hatchery, 18 supply gas geyser, and then 17 supply spawning pool. He's already trying to go for a 3rd hatch as well. This would be a little bit greedy, but it shouldn't really matter all too much. Link speed starts up. He does still have the minerals for it. Hello. Nah, I think he wants to go for 2 queens. Okay, he was just harassing the probe here, maybe trying to force a pylon drop or something along those lines. Well, you know what? He once again goes Cybernetics Core instantly into the upgrade. Normally, if you want to go for a Stargate opener... Nah, you still gotta go Stargate. Right? There's no way. Okay, yeah. Normally, if you want to go for a Stargate opener, you delay the Warp Gate research. Rogue is definitely looking at this Cybernetics Core right now at this point in the game. He's like, okay, well, you're researching right away as it finished up. This could definitely, once again, be a Twilight or a Robo start. Alright. Not bad. Link speed is starting up. He pulled 2 drones out of gas as well after reaching 100. So this is going to make it a little bit easier to produce those additional queens, drones, and Zerglings. Basically everything in the early game for Zerg is mostly dependent on minerals. So pulling 1 drone out of gas or 2 drones out of gas is quite normal. Is it going to be a Void Ray? It should be. Yep, there it is. So, I think in the previous game, the Nexus came up at like 510? If I'm not mistaken. Something along those lines. It was, yeah. It was quite aggressive. Or, sorry, it was quite late. Compared to like this one being quite a bit more aggressive. Couple of links right here. Ready to intercept a probe that might be heading on over in this direction. Void Ray is gonna pop. So even though this one is a little bit later here, because of the Warp Gate upgrade that started up a bit sooner, shouldn't really matter all too much. There we go. Nexus gets planted down. Tries to see if he can potentially kill it, but that's not gonna happen. So yeah, look at the difference. It's huge. And now Zoun doesn't feel that pressure here to be forced to deal damage. He can just kind of build up as he likes. Now, by the way, one thing I forgot about, I think I've mentioned this before in a previous cast as well. But Rogue, apparently, according to his Wikipedia page, he has a couple of different nicknames that he used to play under. So first off, Rogue apparently plays under the name Savage. Secondly, under the name Rial2, and I think that's his Brood War name. And then the third one is Climax, with a capital M. So Rogue apparently plays under the Smurf name Climax, with a capital C and a capital M. He does realize what, like... I mean, it doesn't have to, but, like, if... He probably knows. Yeah, he must know. He probably knows. Second Stargate even, by the way, in this game, as well as the Skytools attack upgrade. So this is going to be a very heavy Skytools opener right here from Zoun. Not surprising after that first game. There's the Twilight and the Forge as well. Usually you grab those right around the same time. So you can go into the charge, but also the +1 upgrade if you really want to. Obviously, it also unlocks the ability to be able to build photon cannons, which is not bad. Now, on this particular map, Queen Walks are... Actually, Queen Walks have kind of fallen out of favor in general. On this particular map, Queen Walks aren't very good, though, because of this, like, big ramp over here. I mean, you can definitely pull it off, but... It's a little bit hard to make happen, especially if there's like 2 sentries over here, dropping down some force fields, and then Protoss gets another warp in around. I don't think Rogue is gonna play that. I don't think Rogue's gonna play that. Now, he's gonna go for the OV speed upgrade right now, and he's also just adding on more and more drones. Now, I've said this dozens of times over the course of the last couple of months. As a Zerg player, Skytools scares me. When Protoss manages to max out on Skytools units, I cannot win. Like, I've tried, and I just can't pull it off. Most Zerg players can't pull it off. I would say there's probably about a dozen Zerg players, maybe a little bit less even than that do feel comfortable playing against Skytools, and I would imagine that Rogue is one of them. So, players that come to mind that probably feel comfortable against Skytools are guys like, for example, Rogue, Dark, Serral, Raynor. Basically, the best players on the planet, right? There's a couple more, but the vast majority of Zerg players play very aggressively. I'm not 100% sure, by the way, but I would imagine, at the very least, that Rogue probably feels pretty good against it. Oof. So I'm excited to see what he decides to go for here. There is a Robo Bay follow-up here once again. Templar Archives as well. Actually, maybe Zoun is going to tech down. That unintentionally rhymed, but he's got 4 Void Rays off of... Wait, what? 4 Void Rays? Okay, I was gonna say. 4 Void Rays off of double Stargate makes no sense. So why does he have both Templar Archives? Oh, is he just starting up Void Rays right here because of this Overseer Scout? Is he gonna cancel them? Nah. I thought maybe he was starting it up just because of that, but nah. He's just adding on a bunch more gateways. He's already got quite a few, actually. Yeah. He's gonna go up to 11 gateways right here with a Robo Bay as well as the Templar Archives. Normally we see either the Templar Archives or the Robo Bay, but I guess Zoun is like, nah, you know what? I'll just get a little bit of everything. So one thing we saw DRG do... Oh, this is cool. Hell yeah. So this is something I've been talking about quite a bit on stream. Once upon a time in the beta of, like, I think Heart of the Swarm or Wings of Liberty, I came up with an amazing timing attack that was Roach Ravager Ling. And I called it the Trevo build because she would go triple Evo build. It wasn't good at all. I would lose most games with it, but it seemed cool at the time. I actually predicted at the time that triple Evo would be the standard because, like, Roach Ravager Ling was such a good, powerful opener. And obviously, you know, they all benefit from different upgrades and stuff. So either way, this is now a triple Evo start, I suppose, from Rogue. In a completely different scenario than what I had intended back then. Either way, he's gonna go for a lot of different upgrades, which is kind of cool. He's got Hive coming up, he's got Infestors coming up, he's got a bunch of Queens. Pretending to actually go for a Queen March over here towards the 4th base, but it's not really happening. So he is going all the upgrades. It makes so much sense, right? It really, like, I've said this before. Why doesn't this happen more often? Because at this stage in the game, Zerg has so much money, but they're not really intending on attacking very much because they can't really. I mean, they can, but it becomes very all-in-y. Why not just go for all of the different upgrades? And that's exactly what Rogue does here. That's kind of cool. I haven't seen Rogue play a lot of late game recently, so I'm actually quite excited for this. I hope this game goes the distance. A couple of zealots in the bottom left. Yeah, so Zoun is doing the classic Protoss things right now where he's just trying to turtle up a little bit. He's got himself the fleet beacon. He's going double disruptor production. He's got some high Templar here as well. I don't believe he's got Psionic Storm, no. So I guess they're just here to like feed back any infestors, which is pretty cool. Or Vipers, I guess. That also works. Ultralisk Cavern coming up here for Rogue. It's funny to me how like the Ultra Cavern has become the standard against Skytles recently. Like over the course of like the last half year or so, we've seen a lot of Ultralisks against Skytles. We don't really see them anymore against Terran very often. But apparently against Skytles, which, you know, makes no sense when you don't understand the game very well. Because, you know, Ultras don't shoot up. Apparently Ultras are now the standard thing to go for. Either way, Zoun is looking really nice and turtled up here, though. I don't really expect a whole lot will happen here. Although you can obviously try and roll the Banes around it. I mean, sure, that actually works. He's so nice and turtled up that he couldn't even see those, or he couldn't even really run those units. Couple of zealots over here trying to get some work done, but those are probably the ones that were hiding in the bottom left. Baelig's also hiding on over in this location. I mean, you know what? Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good trade. Now, I try and be an unbiased StarCraft 2 caster. The thing is, I have casted dozens of Skytles games, and in pretty much every single one of them, Protoss wins. Plus, I've been struggling against Skytles a lot myself. I will probably... in the pursuit of me trying not be biased, I will let you know that I'll definitely be biased in this game. Because I would... I would like to see how one dismantles Skytles. Because, I don't know, it seems hard to me, man. So honestly, like, we also can't get too carried away. Yes, this is Skytles, but like, it's Skytles with an asterisk next to it because it's only 2 carriers and 6 Void Rays at this point. It is a funny part of, like, look at this. There's so many Disruptors, Archons, and other things on the ground. I don't even really know if this really classifies as Skytles. This is like next level Skytles. Okay, so the 5th Nexus, he's trying to acquire it. Oh, nice way of getting rid of that Zergling, I suppose, without detection. Roaches and Ravagers once again down south. He's gonna try and go in for the move once again. Those probes don't really have any ways to run, but I think the Archons are gonna be able to get rid of most of the Banes just fine. Yeah, probes just run to the natural expansion, that works. And these traits are so awful for Zerg. I mean, he's trying to get rid of the Roaches and Ravagers here. He's trying to trade them out for better things. But in general, it's really not, like, those trades are not particularly great. So look at the upgrades here that Zerg is getting. He's getting basically everything. He's got double Spire, he's got triple Evo, he's got the Infestation Pit researching, he's going for the Adrenal Glands upgrade as well for the Zerglings. Chitinous Plating is probably already done. Yep, wouldn't be surprised if he goes for the Speedy Boy upgrade here in the Ultralisk Cavern in a second as well. Unless he already got it and I missed it. So what is the unit composition here for Zerg? It's a couple Ultras, it's Infestors, Vipers, and Queens. So is this the ultimate Zerg army? Like, the thing is, it's all Spellcaster, pretty much, right? Like, Infestors are Spellcasters, Queens are Spellcasters, and so are Vipers. All of them need a different hotkey, and all of them need to be controlled separately. And then there's obviously the rest of the main force. If you add in Corruptors here too, you will need to make sure you don't fly those over like Archons either. So it becomes a super delicate unit composition to control. And personally, I mean... I tried, man. I tried 100 times. Well, more actually. Probably tried close to 1,000 times at this point. Are the Ultras, Lings, and Banes just for counterattacks? I guess so. How many spores are we on right now? 28. Okay. Yeah, so Spore, Viper, Infestor, Queen. Like, notice the lack there of Corruptors or Hydralisks, right? Which are supposed to be the core unit. Now, this is starting to really hurt, man. This beautiful SimCity here of the Protoss is working against him. 35 probes end up going down. At this point, though, Zoun doesn't really care. He's got himself 5 bases up. He's not really replacing it with too many more workers, mostly just adding on more army units. This isn't really Skytles. No, this isn't really Skytles. It's a handful of carriers and a handful of corrupt, or sorry, what I called Void Rays. But other than that, it's pretty much ground units. 9 Archons, 2 Immortals. Yeah, there's some next level moves going on here. Okay, there's the fungal growth. Infestors get popped though by one of the disruptor hits. Very nicely done right there. Neuroparasite on one of the Archons as well, apparently. Queen's coming in from the back. Even Microbial Shroud comes up. Queen's trying to transfuse all of these Ultralisks back up to full. In the meantime, Protoss is just standing here, attack moving. I said I was gonna be biased, okay? I told you, man. Come on, don't get salty. Because it's true. It was just, you know. He was like, okay, army, go there. And then they fought. Zerg's like, in the meantime, like fucking playing the piano over here. I mean, fudging, playing. What did I say? No, I didn't say anything bad. He's playing like a fucking Zerg Symphony. Needs 3 hands. Pretty sure Mozart would have wished he had 3 hands, dude. He probably could play. Do you think Mozart could play Zerg late game? I'm not sure, dude. Honestly, at this point, I'm really not. Well, maybe. You gotta be real fast. You think Jimi Hendrix would have been a really good Zerg late game player? Because that guy was quick. Maybe. No, he also did send the Disruptors for it, guys, so he did do that, okay. And he was probably also trying to feedback stuff with the High Templar, but... The thing is, those things are, you know, not nearly as complex. Anyways. You know, there's a bit of debate for another time. Tempest following up. Okay, cool. So, I do think that, like, the ultimate Protoss army is actually really difficult to control. When you start adding in, a mothership, for example, and then you go Tempest, and you go for... what are they called? Oracles and the carriers, and then everything else, right? I do think that that would be... Oh, a couple of Banes apparently over here. I do think that that would be a very difficult control, or army to control, rather. Yeah, the thing is, StarCraft 2, obviously, it's balanced from the top down. Meaning that it's balanced around the players at the tippity top of the skill level. But I wonder if maybe it's balanced a little bit too much from the top down, if that makes sense. Where, you know, yeah, the best 5 Zerg players in the world are pretty good against Skytles, but like everyone else kind of struggles. I don't know. On the flip side, do you think Rogue would be a really good, like, guitar player or a really good piano player? Because I do actually genuinely think, since, like, pro gamers in general, right? Especially StarCraft pros. I don't know about, like, League of Legends pros. Those guys are probably really good at, like, microing one unit. Either way, not as impactful, right? As far as mechanics go. I really do think, though, that, like, you know, if you've been playing StarCraft 2 for a long time, you do develop some pretty insane accuracy, especially on, like, your left hand, assuming you're, like, you know, using your left hand on the keyboard, which most people are. Playing guitar and whatnot definitely becomes more straightforward. Now, obviously, it's an entirely different skill, but at the very least, you have that coordination, right? Which is normally only learned by playing guitar for many years. I used to play guitar myself for a long time. I wasn't ever any good. And then StarCraft 2 came out, and I did notice that, like, you know, I can hit buttons. Like, for example, okay, so one thing I noticed when I first started playing guitar is that my pinky finger, it didn't want to move, right? My pinky was like, nah, you know what? I can't do it. And then over time, obviously, you kind of learn to use all of your fingers independently. But I do believe that with StarCraft 2, I mean, you know, my pinky can hit the control key really efficiently, right? I can hit all the buttons really well with my left hand. I do think that if you're, I don't know, just a thought. If you've been playing StarCraft 2 for a long time, you might want to pick up an instrument, see if it works. Please prove my theory. I feel like it should work. Okay, so now we're going into the ultimate Skytles army, okay? Now this is difficult. So at this point now, Zoun is getting all of the upgrades that he wants. He's going Storm. He's going for the Dark Templar Shadow Stride ability, which is their Blink upgrade. He's gonna go for the Mama ship. He's got probably a few Oracles in here. He's got one. That's actually the one from the early game, which is kind of cool. He's got Tempest as well. Oh my god. Can I just... I'm gonna go back. What just happened here? That was... the Zerg Symphony, man, I'm telling you. Here we go. Oh, that's hot! Unbiased caster, by the way. But like, yeah, that's... Did he just... Wait. After knurling everything, the Ultra still died. Did he just... I think he did. In the meantime, at the 12 o'clock position, we have that Skytles force taking out one of the bases. Oh. Are two Zerglings gonna be able to kill that? Okay, big boy Ultra is here too. Oh, he's trying to kill the... he's trying to kill the Observer there with the Archon. Alright. Not bad. The Zerg Symphony. I'm gonna have to title this video that. One of the hardest things of casting a Skytles game in 2021 is that I've casted so many of these that I do not know what to title them. If you have any recommendations, I'm actually curious, okay? Maybe some of you can come up with some creative names. Let me know down below in the comment section what you would put as a video title to this particular video. Or like to this particular game, I suppose. Just to make it a little bit more specific. Because I have given so many of these games a title already that it becomes a little crazy. Nice little railing roll by right over there. The Zerg Symphony sounds good, right? Yeah, you know what? That sounds pretty good. Sounds very sophisticated. Makes me sound smart. Not that I am, but you know, sound. Emphasis on the word sound. So Rogue has got a huge bank. Zoun doesn't really. So if you look at the army value graph right over here, you can see that Rogue's army is expensive. So is Zoun's. But Rogue can almost like rebuild his, or at least, you know, a good chunk of his. Whereas Zoun can't. So Zoun has got to be very careful with his army here. Okay, kills another one of these hatches. That's not bad. There's a couple, dude, he's got a little bit of everything. He's got some Brute Lords, an Ultralisk, Infestors, Vipers, a gajillion Queens, Corruptors. This is what I mean. How do you control this? This is literally... this is the type of army that literally requires 6-7 hotkeys. Like, just for the army. Okay, maybe not 6-7. Maybe you could pull it off with 5. Look at the High Templar throwing water balloons over here at the drones. So rude, dude. I know it's summertime and everything, but hold on. Is he? Oh, it's the Infestor hit squad right here on the lure. Yeah, look at that. Ready? That is cool, actually. One Ultralisk baiting out the Immortal Archon forces. That is actually so cool. I mean, Ultra Boy's still gonna die, apparently, but at least some of the structures over here will do decently well. Okay. Some weird triangle going on over here. Couple of Dark Templar, though. Blink on top of it, and we'll be able to kill this. There was a little bit of back and forth over here in the center of the map, but it looks like nothing really happened. Nice move right here by Zoun, though. Yep. Breaking through this position. Feedback's coming up on the Queens. Queens will be able to transfuse each other back up to full. It's like we're watching Archon mode at this point, right? Where like both players, or like both teams rather, have 2 players controlling them. How are these guys doing all of this while also doing all of that? Okay, Mama ship gets abducted. That's minus 400, minus 400, as Twitch chat has told me many times. The bubble, though, is still up. Yeah, can't really capitalize on it. There's not that many spores here, by the way. How many spores are there in total? 43, okay. I think the majority of them are in different locations. Yeah, there's a lot of them sprinkled throughout the map, but none really here in the center. So Archons deal splash damage. If the Corruptors fly above the Archons and they hit them, they will die very quickly, because Corruptors have a tendency to, like, group up together like that. So Hatchery is gone right now, I guess. Not a whole lot of places to actually mine from. The Dark Templar over here together with the 3 Archons, trying to get some work done. I don't think Zerglings are going to be able to defend that. Although the Ultras will be a little bit better. Not a bad idea. Okay. Fungal growth right there. It's a lot of dead changelings, not bad. Ooh, splash damage right here from the Ultras? Nah. Actually, that doesn't work like that. You still need detection, I guess. Okay, Mama Ship once again coming up. Ooh, Zoun is gonna try and take this 12 o'clock base. I like it. He's built up his bank quite significantly, by the way, at this point. Look at how fast Zoun is playing, actually, here. This is kind of cool. Normally, if we watch, like, a Serral game or, like, a Raynor game, those guys are sitting at 500-600 actions per minute at this point. But Rogue actually sitting at 340. On average. Interesting. Maybe he doesn't have his repeat rate up as high as those other guys. I'm not sure. Here comes the Zerg Swarm, though. He's looking to engage on top of all of this army. Ooh, storms go down. Nicely done. Couple of the High Templar still available. Ultras will be picked off, and apparently he just decides to recall. Couple of the Brute Lords apparently split themselves up from the main force. It's a small little hit squad. This is a one-way trip. There's no way that these, are going to be able to make their way home. At least he picks off a few Archons, or, well, one Archon, I guess. On the way out. Yeah, no way that this hatch is going to happen. But this is an impressive one right here by Zoun. So Zoun actually picked up the 12 o'clock position. This is supposed to be a Zerg base. Okay, so how does Protoss hotkey an army like this? Well, you can put the Archons, the Void Race, and then the Carriers on one hotkey control group relatively easily. However, it becomes difficult when you mix in, for example, High Templar. They need to be on a separate control group. Oh my god, well, not if they're dead, then they don't need a hotkey. Oh my god, and all of a sudden, actually, hold that thought. Rogue just walks up here with most of his army and picks off a lot of the units. Abductions come up and they just get absolutely shredded. That's one more carrier right over there that definitely won't live to tell this tale. Mothership is out, but at this point there's plenty of detection available as well. Oh my. The amount of Corruptors at this point is so high that he can two-shot a Mothership. He's getting rid of all of the other Skytools units in like one hit. Oh, well, you showed yourself by shooting at the Corruptors, my man. Yep, not gonna happen. 2 more Tempest end up biting the dust here as well. In the meantime, the Queens and the Ultras were going to town here, apparently. They've cleaned up most of the static defense that was out in the center of this map. What was I talking about? Yeah, you know what? Oh, yeah, I was talking about hotkeying. 6 o'clock position will not be acquired by Zerg. Protoss is trying to see if he can keep his 12 o'clock alive, and I think he probably will, though all the Skytools units at this stage in the game are gone. The problem is, right, if you're forced to warp in ground units now, like, Rogue can just make like a gajillion Brute Lords, and the Brute Lords will absolutely shred through everything. So if you decide to, yeah, he's going back once again to Skytools production. If you decide to forgo all of that, it becomes very tricky. Yep, there we go. So this is what I mean. 8 Brute Lords are coming up. 8 Brute Lords are going to be able to get rid of this army easy peasy. They're so powerful. Unless he gets underneath it for free, but that shouldn't really happen. Okay, so what I was talking about is 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, by the way. Still in the same way as they were previously. So what I was trying to talk about, how do you micro this as Protoss, right? So Void Race carriers, Archons, and leftover ground units can all go on one control group. However, the Mama Ship has to be on a separate one. Oracle has to be on a separate one. Tempest have to be on a separate one. High Templar have to be on a separate one. If you have Disruptors at that stage in the game too, you also have to put those on a separate one. Like, the actual maxed out Skytles army, like the Uber army, right? Like, that one is incredibly hard to control well, because you need, like, 7 hands. Or, you know, like, 2. Technically, but it feels to me like you need, like, 7. Very difficult to control well and properly. During all of this, both players were forced to spend their banks. Zoun's army, though, he's got a lot of supply caught up in Stalkers and Zealots. Like, don't get me wrong, Stalkers and Zealots are pretty good, but they're not, like, you know, carrier level good. Because right now, it looks a little bit awkward. Yeah, look at this. Even though Brute Lords shouldn't really be that big of a deal at this stage in the game, since there's so much supply caught up in units that don't really reach them, the Brutes are just kiting back and forth, stutter stepping, and the Nexus falls. What a game. This is sick. Now all of a sudden Rogue has managed to grab the center expansion over here, making a ton of static defense over in this location as well. Zoun decides to disengage and go after the Expo in the center. Obviously the Zerg army, especially the Voids are especially the Brute Lords are very slow. Wouldn't mind seeing them work on some of these structures. Rogue is going to try and see if he can potentially keep his new Expo alive, but I've got a feeling that this one's going to be very hard to hold, especially with the rock still up on that high ground. Or protecting that high ground, rather. 6 o'clock position right now acquired by Zoun. It's up for grabs, but it also grabs the 12 o'clock. He grabs both opposite sides of the map. Either way, here's a massive army going to town once again. The Ultras trying to get some work done. Parasitic Bomb now even comes up too. A couple of Infestors still available as well, but they have no energy. Okay. Stalkers managed to blink underneath all of the Brutes. Corruptors at the same time are trying to target fire down those capital ships. A lot of additional Stalkers were warped in too. And Zoun, even though normally Brute Lords counter Stalkers, if you have enough Stalkers and you manage to get underneath, you can pick all of them off. While that was happening though, the Corruptors killed every single last of the Skytles units. I mean, other than apparently one Tempest that just spawned and a couple of Void Rays that somehow, some way, I think they actually spawned up here. Managed to live through that. 5 more Ultralisks are coming up. Yep. This is a sick game. Very impressive play by the both of them. It doesn't happen often that we see higher APM from the Protoss at this stage in the game. It's actually really cool. Okay. A couple of Zerglings apparently have made their way up here. Ooh, alright. Rogue noticed that there was no static defense in this location, and this is quite big. The problem is, though, Rogue at this point in the game is not really mining anymore. He's got the base in the bottom left, but he's got 27 workers here. Over 4 mineral patches. Spoiler alert, that's not going to mine very efficiently. That being said, with both the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock being killed, Zoun also doesn't have a whole lot of mining. He's only mining in the top right. Zoun actually, trying to get lucky right here with some stasis wards. And you know what? These are getting quite a bit of work done. Those are changelings over there in that stasis. Is there enough right now for Zoun to break through this? Ultra's actually coming from the high ground. I feel like Ultras are going to be so freaking powerful over here. Corruptors trying to get stormed on, but not really happening so far. And I think that might just be a little bit too much. Although the Ultras are indeed, like, getting stuck right here because of that stasis. Zoun decides to push forward, grabs. Ooh, I thought one of the Infestors, but I think it must have been a Zergling he accidentally targeted there. At this point, Zoun is pretty much broke. He's still getting some income, but he's fighting with a big ground-based army. Okay, kiting against one of the Immortals. Immortal definitely, is forced to retreat. That's definitely how I intended on ending that sentence earlier. And he actually gets out. He actually gets out. Okay. So after all the fancy Skytles armies going up against all of the maxed out Zerg forces, we have come back down to small armies going up against small armies. And actually, even though Rogue's supply is still heavily in his favor, he's got 26 Corruptors, and 26 Corruptors do absolutely nothing. Like, there's nothing for them to fire at, right? So do you morph them into Brutes? Against Mass Stalker? I don't know. Is any of these players still going to be brave enough to grab a new Expo? I actually think that the center over here would not be a bad idea. It's just... Ah, you know what? Without Broodlords, Protoss can actually fall back to the static defense quite well. There's the Nexus. Rogue has seen the static defense over here, so he can probably smell out roughly what's happening. Yeah, you know what? I was thinking here that Rogue was winning, but the problem is he still has so many Corruptors that the supply count is a little bit it's a little bit deceiving. Assuming Zoun doesn't make any more Skytools units, I think it's gonna be totally fine. You can obviously still use this to puke on stuff. Tries to target fire down whatever you can with the two hallucinated, or not hallucinated, neural stalkers. Okay, there you go. Ooh, Ultra. Okay. Stalkers are really quite strong against armored units. They don't mess around. If you get fungled, by the way, you can't blink. If you get fungled, you can't use blink. Oh, God, that was so close. He's just gonna try and neural this? Yeah, I think so. Assimilation successful indeed. Ay, 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 ay. What a messy battle. This is fantastic. Okay, he goes for additional queens. I think the queens are here primarily for transfusion on the ultras. Base in the center, by the way, is done, and Zoun resumes mining. Absolutely huge. The fact that he now has a full base mining is fantastic. The rich Vespian Geyser, by the way, was mined out already, so that is something that actually kind of sucks for him here, because... Oh, okay. That's a little bit awkward. An uprooted Spore Crawler right there blocking a future base. He's long distance mining the base over here in the center. Yeah, the problem is Protoss can't really make anything but zealots, right? With minerals and I guess photon cannons and stuff, but that's not really going to help him out too much here. This has become extremely scrappy. Every time it's a Stalker going down, man. It's actually huge. Okay. I think Rogue is now trying to grab one of the bases. Zoun is already finishing up the 12 o'clock position. He needs those gases really badly. Yeah, he's got 0 gas income. 11 probes in the top right, but hatchery comes up. Spore Crawler's now also moving on over in this position. Not there's really any air. But apparently it's there to look intimidating and to block the pathing there of the Ultralisks. I'm not sure if the spores here make sense, but I guess it's to get rid of, you know, observers and whatnot. That's still so many infestors, though. We're talking 12 infestors. He can just neural parasite 1 unit at a time and kill it. Yeah, this is huge. So Archons are really expensive units. There's no detection available here for the Protoss at all. He can make an observer and all that, but like with the amount of spores that are sprinkled around the Zerg side of things, it's very difficult for him to, yeah, actually engage properly. I mean, I don't think you want to neuroparasite zealots, but if it's just zealots left over, Zerg will be, especially with ultras and queens, totally fine. Okay, that being said, Zoun right now back on 2 base eco. 2 base-ish. Zerg back up to like 1 base. This gas geyser over here is still fully mineable. Yeah, both players did get all of their upgrades, so that's good. Ooh, fungal growth right there on a whole lot of zealots. Do you not add on Broodlords here? I feel like Broodlords would be so good, right? I'm not sure. What do I know about this game? You just add some more infestors. I think the strategy right now from Rogue is just to like literally neural everything. Fungal! There's fungal. Really big fungal, actually. Okay, decides to split up the zealots, even though they were slowed down right there quite nicely. Infestors actually forced to burrow right now. Queens decide to transfuse the Ultralists back up to full HP. Neural parasites are going down everywhere, and I think this has to be the Zerg player winning the final battle of this game as Rogue picks up a Romanticide. Okay, and that brings us to Lightshade LE. Match point number 1 right here for Rogue. If Zoun wants to win this series, he will need to win 3 in a row. Which is going to be hard. I've got a feeling that's going to be real tricky to pull off. Once again, though, he decides to send that probe across the map early. Just to block the expo. Not gonna lie, though. That was a fantastic game number 2. That was really sick. Well, it can be a little bit one-dimensional sometimes. Because, you know, those Stargate openers and the responses, they're pretty much always the same. So, like, the first, I would say, like, 8 minutes of every ZVP that goes like that is kind of similar. But it's cool to see that, yeah, there's some variety. Especially when it comes to, like, the mid and late game. Alright. So, standard openers once again here from both. Probably going to be a hatch into a gas, into a spawning pool. For a while, we saw Zerg players going, like, triple hatch before a pool, but that really has fallen out of favor. Just because, I guess, of the queen larva mechanic, and also the fact that if your opponent sees it, you can just blend down a second gateway and get like 4 adepts across the map, and it's basically impossible for the Zerg player to do anything. So just hatch, gas pool, into queens, into Zerglings, into a third hatchery. That's the standard. Zoun in the meantime going pylon on the low ground. Gateway is a follow-up, gas is a follow-up, Nexus is a follow-up at 20 as well as a cybernetics core. Usually you cut 1 worker to pull that one off. And then we will go for a second gas geyser usually. And a second pylon at 22. 22 supply, that is. So 22 out of 23. There you go. So usually this is going to be the pylon where you attach your tech structure of choice. You obviously can't plant it down until the cybernetics core is done. Needs 150 gas for the Stargate, 100 gas for the Twilight and the Robo facility. So as you can see right here, he's perfectly at the amount of gas he needs to go for a Stargate. But once again, starts up the Warp Gate research first, and then also the Adept. No Twilight, no Robo though, so I think it has to be a Stargate, right? Yep, there it is. Unsurprisingly. Roach Warren. Ooh, that is a very quick Roach Warren. So this is going to be something aggressive. He left the 3 drones inside of that gas geyser. Link speed is coming up. Did he skip a queen? Oh, there's only 1 queen available. Okay, so it's a single queen, very quick Roach Warren, and Zerglings coming up. I wonder if this is a response to seeing the Warp Gate first once again. But I mean, he did that last game, and in that game it was also a Stargate opener. Roach Warren's finishing. Yeah, okay, he starts up a bunch of roaches. So this is definitely him being aggressive. Problem is, haha, guess what else Void Ray openers are good against? Roach pushes. I mean, I think there's a lot of units coming up for Zerg. A lot of units. Unless Zoun decides to... if Zoun actually tries to go for an expo and then gets everything surrounded, that would be tough. So 350, 3 minutes and 50 seconds is when usually... Is this like a build specifically made to counter a 3 minutes and 50 seconds Nexus? Oh my god. So all that Zoun has seen at this point is 5 Zerglings. Or like, you know, 6 Zerglings, I guess, because he killed 1 already. There's just no anti-air. Oracle is a follow-up, so not a second Void Ray. Second Void Ray is definitely what Zoun wished he would have made here. Alright, well, here we go. Zerg has decided to now try and bust open the front door. Okay, probes are pulled away from the mineral line. And actually, you know what? Even though there's a Void Ray available and it's going to be able to kill a lot of stuff, the probes are already falling left, right, and center. This is a build I haven't seen before. Ooh, this is a very specific counter to what Zoun is doing. 17 probes. I mean, the Void Ray is having a field day, right? Don't get me wrong, but it's taken way too long. Now links are streaming in once again. He's trying to complete the wall off over here. Okay, he will be able to pull that off. Still a little bit of damage being done right here by the Zerg player, though. Yeah, once again, knocks down that pylon. Make sure that the probe will go down, and now the Zerglings are going to be able to go into the main base. What a cool style. Well, that is something I did not expect. 27 probes. In the meantime, Zerg was already droning again. He hasn't killed the third Nexus, but at this point I wonder if Zoun should have cancelled it. Because what's he going to do with it? There's no way that one's going to live, right? Zergling's right over here as well, just being annoying, forcing this Protoss player to stay back for even longer. Ay, that was something, man. So, single queen, instantly into, That actually seems really powerful. I've casted hundreds of Zerg versus Protoss over the year, right? I do not remember seeing that build. Maybe it's something that some of you have seen before, but I watch a lot of StarCraft and I'm not too familiar with that one. But maybe it's something that we've seen more, or maybe we used to, I don't know. It makes little sense when you think about it, because that Void Ray obviously should kill everything, but... Now, was that something that Zoun could have picked up on? I don't remember what he did with his first Adepts. He should have been able to pick up on the fact that it was a single queen. But I'm not entirely sure if that is something that Protoss players even scout for, right? Like, I mean, theoretically you should, obviously, but... It seems like one of those things that you don't really look for too often. Alright, so Zoun actually is chronoing out a lot of workers. He's going double gas right now. He's making the best of this situation. Obviously, Rogue cut a ton of probes, or cut a ton of drones as well to pull that build off. So it's not like his eco was particularly good. And if he would have killed anything less than like 20, I think he actually would have been behind. Second Stargate comes up. And we're going into the +1 flyer. There's a lot of queens, though. We're already up to 6 queens. 2 more queens are coming up, yep. So now we have a combination. Oh! If you lose the Oracle, that would suck. Yeah, now we have the 1-2 punch over here. The Queen March. Not a build we've seen yet in this series. But apparently it's coming up after this particular opener. Is he gonna be content with just killing the third Nexus? I mean, at this point, there's 2 Void Rays and an Oracle. Like, there's nothing that Protoss can do, right? Okay, good snipe right there on that Roach. Problem is, sniping a Roach, I mean, it's like sniping a Roach in real life. There's probably gonna be more. Yeah, so Queen's here ready to zone away whatever they can. Okay, really nice force field. Already, though, a Ravager is available. Additional Ravagers are coming up as well. He's just ignoring the third Nexus entirely as the Queens make their way towards the high ground. Here come the Corrosive Biles, just trying to bile down whatever he can, trying to hit up these Void Rays as well as the Pylon, as well as everything else that's being powered here by those Pylons and their power fields. Okay, so the Void Rays are obviously absolute key. 1 Void Ray ends up going down. The Cybernetics Core will also not live to tell the tale, and that means that we're only gonna see, like, I guess, Zealots and, like, no air weapon upgrades? I mean... God, Rogue is really good at this game, man. It's hard not to be a Rogue fan. Hydra Den is already being built at home as well, so, like, even if Protoss were to clean this up, and he kills all of the Queens miraculously, then all of a sudden he tries to counterattack. There's going to be Spore Crawlers and Hydralisks. Yeah, this has been Rogue from start to finish, right? I mean, again, he doesn't have a lot of eco, so we're only at 47 drones right here versus 46 probes. The problem is that we can get to this point in the game where, like, you blink once and then the entire mineral line is gone. You're like, where did it all go? Turns out the Zerglings managed to make their way there. And apparently in this series, it is Rogue that wins 3-0. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. But for now, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Don't forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.